Started. Please announce yourself.
The seed in our homeland, boys, let it grow where all can see. Feed it with our devotion, boys, call it the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Save it from the storm, boys, water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys, we were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys, always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys, fight for the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Stand for the rights of man, boys, stand against all tyranny. Hang the lance of freedom, boys, high on the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. It will grow as we grow, boys, it will be as strong as we. We must cling to our faith, boys, faith in the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MaineMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
Join Mark and Don for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12-gauge autoloader.
Sure.
The 45 long slide.
Yep.
With laser sighting.
You betcha.
The Uzi 9mm.
Yes, sir.
Phased plasma rifle in a 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay. They'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist wrist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you to always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? Oh, sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside to dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first hour of the afternoon intelligence report. I'm Mark Harkey. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, east, northeast, and central. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, IndianaFreedomTalkRadio.com in memoriam. We miss you, Spike. And we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet, Hallmark, and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon and evening to all of our friends around the clock. And it is, of course, Well, a beautiful Monday. I think it's Monday. The days run together. The weekends don't look any different from the morning hours, evening hours. It all runs together. For all of you out there, again, it is Monday. It is the 12th year of Open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist Occupation of America with a K, 2020 Old Earth Calendar, 2020 Year of Conflict, Dance of Swords, Battle for the Republic. And over the weekend, well, you know what? We kind of warned you about the nature of the vicious/ruthless battlefield that you are in called America with a K. The communists have been in motion. They've continued to escalate activities. Needless to say, if you haven't heard, you should have heard about what happened in Portland with the Antifa hunting and, of course, aggressively zeroing in on and then assassinating a pro-Trump / one of the pro-Christian individuals there. The overall story, initially they made it sound like he was absolutely by himself, and he wasn't actually. My biggest concern with most of you is you do not think about working in teams, especially in battlefield environments. And Portland, Oregon is a communist-occupied, we call it Portstania, you can call it Portistan, take your pick, whatever you want to. But the bottom line is it's a Sovietized piece of real estate there where the communists are going to progressively go crazier, more bug-eyed, and crazier and loonier as the days go by. It is not an if, it is simply a when. And with regard to the situation right now, again, I don't know, there's several issues that can be brought forward. I can't stress enough body armor, first of all, and this is something, if you've listened to this program and you've been listening for any period of time, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, you could have bought grade 2, grade 3 body armor, which would protect you from most of what's coming down range. If you're worried about high-powered rifle, again, wear a center plate, but it's only going to be good for so much. And again, it's not bulletproof. It's only bullet resistant to begin with. Everything you're carrying, no matter what armor you wear. Another thing is because of cost, a lot of people have gone with plate armor, but have not purchased basically what is considered to be casual or work armor. And this is where there's a delineation. A lot of people, you've got to have a plate carrier. Yes, I believe you should have a plate carrier. And underneath it, you should have a full wraparound vest. I don't care if it's level 1. It doesn't make any difference. There are so many other strays, tags, spalled, ricochets, junk that flies around. And your torso, your soft, chewy, let's say Oreo center is what we're trying to protect. Your torso, your head, there's other devices and technology you can wear to help. But the big thing here is that, again, you're in a war zone. You're in an occupied combat zone. Portlandistan, take your pick. If you're in Seattle, I would consider it no different nowadays. If you're in New York, are you kidding? I'd be wearing body armor every day, especially if you're a white person and you have the Fruit Loons, the Jewish mob pushing the blacks, the Jewish mob themselves doing the monkey poke. By the way, it just happens that with the Wisconsin shooting in Kennesaw, all three of them were Jewish. All three of the attackers that were shot and put down were all Jewish mafia. Interestingly enough, the ADL is slanting it that way. Now, nobody knew who they were shooting, but the ADL has got a little piece out there now where they're talking about how they need to tell all the middle schoolers, who are, of course, going to be the next high schoolers being hit with the next wave of propaganda, why I told you don't take your children to the public fool system. Only an idiot, an incompetent, or a fool would put their children in the public fool system. Well, it's a reflection of what you're seeing right now, the ADL, which, of course, Donald Trump is so far up their ass, he couldn't pull his head out of his, life depended on it with a crowbar. And they are preaching that, of course, kill all the white people, kill all the white people, kill all the white people. Oh, and by the way, this guy, for defending himself, how dare he shoot the chosen Jewish creatures that were trying to kill him? They should have been allowed, the chosen Jewish creatures should have been allowed to murder the guy just outright, okay? So I'm going to bet dollars to donuts. In fact, I'll pretty well guarantee it. The same type of Mossad/ADL types are the ones that murdered the guy on the street in Portland. I don't think there's any difference between the two as far as the situation goes. Now, It's the same clique as far as who's being shipped in, who's being moved around. And I would point out that this is an exact replay of what we saw in the late 60s and then all through the 70s. Virtually identical. There is no difference. There is, in fact, an exact reproduction across the board with regard to the date, time, and the activities involved in the event. And I can't stress enough that for everybody out there that's listening, again, if you look at even the politics, they're pulling the same scam with the Nixon BS that they did with now the Trumpette BS. And in the process, let me point something out. In the process, let's remember we had the Gun Control Act of 1968. Well, Nixon was in there. The GCA, which remember was promoted in 67, is brought into play in 68. It is the ATF is created under Nixon's administration. You do all understand that, right? Well, no, it was the commies in the... No, the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Division, was given massive amounts of communist power under Richard Milhouse Nixon, not under, that's right, Lyndon Baines Johnson. Johnson was just frothing at the mouth and wanted it. It was Nixon who managed it. Everybody understand that? So we're going to see an expansion with the same game played here. Oh, Trump, listen, guys, they made the Trumpettes reds. You know, conservatives were true blue. Americans were true blue. Anybody who is a true American, blue was the base color that we've had going back to the Continentals of the American War for Independence. The Civil War, though you may not like it or you hate it, however, the Union side, which apparently the Antifa types and whatever say that, the anti-slavery thing was important, the Union wore blue. The Reds, were red coats. The Reds that we faced most recently, communists. So this red thing, talk about, flipping it on its ear intentionally to create confusion. And this has only happened in the last couple of administrations. Everybody was vying to see who could be the first to get those blue signs out there. That rich blue, royal blue, has been the base, not red. I would point that out. The only people were using red were the communists, and now they've got that flipped on its ear. We've got this nonsense with, of course, the escalating violence. Well, yeah, it's going to be escalating violence. Of course, there's been a lot of white people, white children killed by blacks here in the last couple of weeks. Everybody's been kind of pegging that. Everything from a 5-year-old shot in front of his sisters in their front yard on his bike by some piece of trash that somehow the family brought in, should never have done, or go right on down the shopping list. And there's been many, 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 many others day after day after day. So you are a target. And one of the problems I have with this young man is he's in a war zone. Any kind of body armor helps. And this guy got hit with a center chest, not center, but, center. Inside the basic plaque area, the inside the chest / upper chest, by the looks of the hit, which was in the upper right breast. So any of your basic armor would have helped, and might have even saved his life. You got to keep that in mind. Having paid attention to what it was, what they were firing. If you've seen the video, there was a lot of smoke. So whatever they shot him with, I'm not so sure it was all that high velocity, but it got to where it needed to go. So here again, any threat level 1, which is only stab armor, might have helped because you never know about the angle. Remember, it's kind of like tank armor. But level 2, level 3, there's tons of it out there. Of course, you guys bought a bunch of it up, as I pointed out. In fact, I know one of our friends listening asked last night because I posted some images that were just buy body armor. And somebody said, where can I get this? Well, that's the English armor that was so cheap here only about, 4 months ago. And there was tons of it around. In fact, I now know who the importer was, and I'm in conversation with them. And if any more comes in, I'm going to be on top of it before anybody else, even Sportsman's Guide, because I've known the importer for decades. I've known him for half a century almost. Keep it up. If I keep getting older, it will be half a century. But anyway, the idea of having some protection, and don't worry about dating. Here's another BS thing. Is your skin pretty tough? Do you figure that you don't need body armor? I mean, that's cool if you do. If you believe that, you've got some special force field. It's kind of like the cops running around where they told you had to have a mask on. and the cops are running around without a mask. They have a special force field for coronavirus. Either that or they knew it was all a bunch of bullshit / BS, and they were laughing their ass off that they got to play police state at your expense. I think it's mostly the case. They were just playing police state at your expense, just puffing up their muscles. Anyway, in this case with body armor, even if it's older armor, it's going to offer protection, okay? To what degree and what level will vary depending upon which of the polymers they use. And there isn't just Kevlar used. There's not just regular, Kevlar 2? Kevlar 1, 1C or 1CL, whatever it is. There's nomenclature for in the plastic world. But anyway, Kevlar, the second generation Kevlar worked, but they didn't like it, and it had some issues with regard to the weave technique that they used, you might recall. And Kevlar 2, with the new Second Chance and other company vests, actually were recalled or withdrawn. Would I wear them? Yeah, that's what I had. That's all I had. I'd wear them. Did they stop everything? Probably not. But would they stop some? Hell yes. And again, guys, if you're out there, if you're going to get into this, if you're going to be at the forefront of any of these activities, body armor is so cheap by comparison to the value of your life on this battlefield. So I can't stress enough. Now, plates, again, a bunch of people are pushing this, oh, you need a plate. No, you don't. That's wrong. In fact, what we need is combination armor. What you need is soft, chewy armor inside, over top of the Oreo soft filling, which is you, and then put the plates over top of that. That's how it works. The plates are, of course, protecting core center. One of the big advantages of having the soft armor underneath the heavy armor is that when the blow is struck, if it's semi-penetrating, guess what? The second layer of soft Kevlar helps to dissipate the energy of that strike, and you're not seeing boo-boo or boo-boo marks underneath that look like little, red, purple moons forming where, wherever those little stipples hit. Now, with soft armor, you may still have that happen, but let me point something out about soft armor. Guys, you can insert chicken plates everywhere. If you're buying this other armor that's out there, even if I was buying, say, the military older grade armor that's out there, I'd be buying chicken plates, and they're all over the place. Trauma plates, we used to call them chicken plates. I don't know what the term is now, who knows. Everybody's got to pull something new out of their arse and think that they've discovered the moon again. Anyway, and it's still been there all the time. We've all been around. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that whatever term it is, insert plates over top of the soft armor means you can have that much more protection. And if you have pockets, why not put a panel in each one? Titanium panels would really be great. Harder than hell to find, it looks like, because I've been looking for them. And I don't know why, because titanium works phenomenally well, and I think that's why they pulled it off the market. But there are still steel inserts, there's Kevlar inserts, and I'm not talking about quarter-inch steel. I'm just talking about simple trauma plates. They're usually 1/8 or less in thickness. They are of a higher grade of steel. They're rounded, they're rubberized, so they don't beat up the pocket they're in. And you can mount those wherever you have a pocket. Any place where you can insert something, you can put one of those panels in there, and it's going to take the hit before the soft armor does. But body armor, body armor, body armor, body armor. I can't emphasize that enough. I cannot stress it enough right now. I believe that if that guy had body armor on, he'd be alive today. He might have a sore chest. He might not be happy about the boo-boo he got, but at least he'd still be breathing. Because with no armor on, the soft, chewy part gets hit right away. The bones don't slow down that much. They just shudder and cause more pain mostly. So we need to make sure that, again, you armor up wherever possible. And there's no reason not to. But now you're going to spend more money. And on the other hand, if you are listening, and you're some of those people who did listen to what I said, then you full well know that you already did get one of those vests for $45 or $55 or $60, where basically the equivalent vest is now a $160, $180, $225 vest. I know. I've been looking. Now, there is one other option, and you notice it's kind of like Volkswagens. You have the German parts, then you have the Brazilian parts, and then last you have the Mexican parts. And if you can't get anything else, you run the Mexican parts, but you're putting your Volkswagen into it, life's in their hands, so to speak. And not guaranteed you're going to get great out of those parts if they're from Mexico. Now, there are level 2, level 3 vests coming from China. Here's what's interesting. They're not built of the same singular weave has the second chance or the other conventional mastered, interlocked, interweaved large thread format that we see with the U.S. Kevlar. It looks more like it's a very fine micro mesh weave blown into itself or worked into itself. However, while it is unique looking and you think it, well, must not stop anything, there are a couple of dozen videos out there where people have bought the cheaper China Sport Level 2, Level 3 vests and thought, we're just going to blow it apart with everything. And amazingly enough, kind of like when you buy a high point, you think you're going to destroy it and you don't, and you have to make 2 or 3 videos to try and destroy it, and you find out, well, it does work well enough. The Chinese armor that's out there, which can be had for under $100 a vest, under $80 in some cases, actually will hold up against a lot of the different rounds, including 9mm ball, which is really fascinating. What's interesting is the tests were done intentionally to try and get the vest to fail, and in fact, many other rounds were used. And while the vest did look horrible when it's done, who cares? It's doing its job. The vest actually did its job. So there are a few of the China sports systems out there. They're selling to other cop shops, like Pakistan, Africa, whatever, I guarantee that. But for a big chunk of what you're going to be running into in the monkey poke shoot category, unless they put a beaner shot on you or a throat shot on you, or if they're smart to be aiming for your crotch, I've warned you about that one. Remember, you blow out those arteries, you blow out the gonads, everything, start low, work your way high, you get the job done. Now, what's interesting about what happened this weekend, and if you haven't watched the video of the attack, there are videos of it, where the guy was assassinated by Antifa / Black Lives Matter / kill all the white people. They only fired once, but what I can see. I did not hear multiple reports, but it was a big blast with a lot of smoke, indicating that it may have even been a black powder piece. Now, if you don't think so, go find the videos and watch. Guys, we call it smokeless powder for a reason. So when I see somebody pull a trigger and I hear a boom, but I see a lot of smoke, that's kind of an indication of black powder, Pyrodex. It's got to be something like that. Now, it could have been. We'll find out in the long run that it could be something else. But my God, I'd like to know who was building such crappy bullets that we had a blunderbuss type effect / muzzleloader effect with regard to the, not the flash, but with the report smoke afterwards, because it's very, very obvious. So again, take the time, watch the videos and ask yourself, hey, wait a minute. And it's at night, which means, illumination obviously is going to identify, we report smoke like that. But if it's excessive, it's far in excess of what it should be. And again, by all indications, we actually have several shots where the casualty is on the ground. They pulled the shirt open. It appears that there is only one entrance hole. It is on the right breast. And it's, again, if that's the case, think about this. If it was a muzzleloader that the guy was shot with, guys, a level 1 or level 2 standard soft vest would have saved that man's life. You do understand that, right? It was a big bore, round ball, even if they used a conical, it's lead, that's exactly what those Kevlar vests were designed to stop first on, with standard lead projectiles. So even the oldest Kevlar pretty much will handle that. Now, again, we need to hear more about what happened. There was a person who was a witness who was actually the guy's buddy. They were walking around in a team. We're moving in more than one single person by himself. There is a report to listen to because the guy initially wasn't sure. He said, hey, they shot at us. And I just get shot. And then he turns and he realizes, nope, his buddy is down on the ground for the count. And in reality, apparently the bullet hit him right in the heart. Hey, that meets center of mass shot, or pretty close on an angle. And once again, any armor would have saved that man's life. Any armor would have saved that man's life. Do not listen to idiots who are going to poo-poo you about buying some other vest or whatever. Get a vest, whatever you can afford, whatever it makes sense for you. By the way, when you buy that, you get better. You save the other one, you pass it on to another person who doesn't have anything. You give them a great deal. In fact, you figure out what you want to do. But you get something over your height as quick as you can. Now, this overlaps to something else, helmets. Now, with driving, first of all, let's start here. You're going to see an escalation. This is going to continue to escalate. You're now seeing the beginning of what is kind of like I told you, the staccato of the battlefield is not consistent. It's like a tattoo with a drum. In fact, most of the old tattoos you would hear years ago, I was a drummer. If you pay attention, if you know the history of that, what most of the percussion was simulating, especially the ones that were, you'll see so many in the French style, it basically represents a skirmish. You hear the tu-tu-tu, tu-tu-tu, tu-tu-tu. And it's hesitation. There's a hesitation to the cadence. It's not consistent. It's not like a regular marching cadence to keep everybody in step. You'll notice it's random, and there's triplets in there, and then there's another triplet, then there's a single tap, and it's a combination that works faster and faster and faster until finally the drummer is working what is a more traditional cadence that you're familiar with. But the initiating action is designed to simulate, just like fireworks are designed to simulate artillery and barrage fire. So the tattoo is designed to create that drawing your attention, because what draws your attention? That first shot you hear in the woods, followed by the 1, 2, 3 of another return, followed by a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a 1, 2, 3. Bump, 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 bump. And it's much slower. Again, the meter is slower, but it builds to a crescendo. Well, guys, that's what you're going to be experiencing here. It's going to progressively move towards what naturally must occur, which is a land battle in America. We need it. It really needs to happen. We can't come together. There is no coming together. All the rest is farcical conversation. We need to bring the country together. You know what's going to happen? Here's what's really going on. What is happening? The communists in government that are working the moderates. The communists in government are bringing you communism. The moderates are the ones who will deliver it right to the communist doorstep. Your country will be delivered not by the communists, but by the moderates to communism. Why? We just got to get along. We just got to understand. We just got to bend over backwards and lick our own butthole as deep as we can with our tongue to show them that we love. Meanwhile, the enemy is laughing at you and, of course, pushing you back over your own hind end, rolling you on the ground, kicking you ahead to save a bullet, or banditing your hind end, and then getting on with, rape, kill, pillage, and burn of the country. Moderates are what will kill the country. Moderates, not the communists, will take advantage of every idiot moderate who thinks he wants to make a deal. And those idiots will sell the country out. They'll sell it by wanting to be comfortable. And that's the most common. It's how communist Russia came about. Remember, there were 2 steps to the Bolshevik Revolution. Step 1, the moderates were worked with the communists in a deal to change the government. The moment that the communists got the idiot moderates to do their part, well, guess what? They then turned around, stuck a knife right through the shoulder blades of the moderates, and the communists took charge and started mass executions that never stopped for the whole time that they were in power. That's what they think they are going to do here. That's what they believe they are going to plug in here. Now, again, organize, arm, equip, and train as militia. Establish a 510 program in your area of operation. Ensure that you have set up communications, transportation, and medical support. Medical being especially critical, and I cannot emphasize enough that you need to do it now. Let me point something out about the problem with what we saw over the last last week. Let's say the last week. It's been demonstrated now for those people who said that you don't need to have any medical gear. And besides, if we have wounded, I'm going to shoot them. Anybody who recommends or promotes that, shoot that person first, okay? Get that person out of the way. But you see the guy that got shot by the kid in the middle of the street on his arse who was already beat down? Well, when he was grabbing his arm there, I would remind everybody again to watch the videos if there's any left that you can watch, because, of course, the communists will do everything they can, the fellow travelers, to take it off social media. So hopefully it was saved in other ways. But if you pay attention, the guy got his arm blown out, and he's having to hold it with his left hand. He's doing nothing for himself. Why is he doing nothing for himself? Well, he had a really neat backpack, and he did have, of course, that pistol in his hand. So he had weapons with him. And he might have even had medical with him, but it was in a backpack that he couldn't get to. And while he's in shock with regard to his injury, in no way, shape, or form is he able to deal with or neutralize the threat because of the injury with blood loss, etc. So this is a demonstration. Neat gear, minimal though. And the guy has a great backpack. I'm sure it was a really expensive. I'm sure it was a top-end communist, leftist / properly supporting quadriplegic homosexual Eskimo backpack made by quadriplegic homosexual Eskimos in a sweatshop in Korea. And it was purchased knowing that they were going to be supporting the communists. That need supporting as far as the communists are concerned. But that backpack, if it was in there, did him nothing. If you're going to carry medical gear needs to be distributed front, rear, and you need to carry the IFAC kit where it's going to be readily accessible with your left or your right hand. Always remember that, left or right arm. In this case, the guy's right arm was blown out. He still had a handgun in his hand, couldn't do anything with it. But all of his injury could have been stabilized. He then could have turned around and pulled out of the IFAC, initial coverage to get the area, the wound area sealed, staunched, or at least reduced for bleeding, and then covered to keep it clean, or at least as clean as possible, considering the nature of the injury. Another thing, as I pointed out, now my personal attitude, this is again, we're crazy stupid until we get back into a war, and then all of a sudden you're going to find out what Uncle Mark's been telling you is not crazy, nor is it stupid. Number one, we carry a medium, I personally carry a medium dressing in my front left pant popcorn pocket. Why? It's an odd spot, but it's easy to get to, and the left hand can usually drop down and grab it fast. If not, I can fumble with the left or right hand and get to that if I have to, whichever one's, still functional. Hopefully one of them is. But I also carry a small compress dressing in my front right combat gear, always, right next to the buckler for the pistol belt for your combat rig, or the base of your belt for your molly rig. I don't care, whichever it is, there's still going to be a medium or small dressing there. Now, small is typically what everybody can afford space-wise. In addition to that, carry one on the rear on the fanny pack of the tactical gear. Now, if you remember on the old butt packs, if you got an original one, you have a series of eyelets that are for the 1910 hanger. What I do is I take one of the old 1910 dressing bundles, but you can use the larger medical pouches. Those are still available. The one that's like a first aid pouch, usually has the plastic can in it, and load that up with compresses. If you're using the pouch with the can, put a set of clamps in there or forceps, whichever you could afford. Put one pair of those in there. Put a set of combat scissors in there. They should fit if you get the lighter, smaller ones, but the snippers. And then stuff it with 3 or 4 of the compresses, depending on which one you have. I like the old military ones for that reason because they take up less space. Now, what have I done? Oh, wait a minute. Don't forget. I'm still carrying the IFAC type kit, front left, just around, instead of to my side, it's to the front and or just to the back. Whenever you put it around farther to the back, it's harder to reach with that right hand if you put it on the left side. But whatever works for you, because if you don't use it, somebody else will. And besides, these other lesser bandages are something that you can access immediately if you are still functional, at least the ones in the front. Why do I put one in the back? Well, here's how it works. You just got hit. You went down. You're not even able to speak to me. Before I am going to identify that you got damaged front and rear, but before I roll you over on your back so I can see what's up front, let's say you're face down, I'm going to bandage what I find in front of me right now. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm carrying my people, our SOP for my Raider units. We have the bandage packs to the rear on the tactical rig. So I'm going to pull what I need from there. I'm going to do whatever I can for that side as quickly as I can. In fact, I'm at least going to start stuffing that hole or wound channel right away as I flip the person over a little bit to check the front. Now that I've got the rear already stabilized and I've got the ducktails around either side ready to wrap around the torso or the body, wherever it is, around your butt, around your leg, around your arm, I don't care. When I flip you over, I'm going to use the bandaging materials I have up front, that small, to get the wound initially addressed, if at all possible. You might have more than one hole anyway. Something else that nobody ever has really addressed. Your IFAK kit is great for maybe one, possibly two. But you know what? People are using automatic weapons in this day and age. And you're going to find out that one isn't enough. You do understand that, right? You can get hit more than once with the same guy shooting at you. You know, So the advantage of having additional smaller dressings means that we are going to, again, reduce blood loss, because remember, without radiator fluid, the engine blows up. Well, it has a tendency to pitter out and die. In your case, low blood pressure, no blood pressure means dead, okay? We can get volume back into you, but why don't we stop it from being lost in the first place? Now, that medium that I'm carrying down in the front left popcorn pocket, Doc knows where all of ours are, so that in the event when a doc comes up on you and he sees that he's got to work on you, he's going to use your junk out of your gear first, just as I described. Or you will. You don't use your equipment. You use what the man is carrying into the field, because if that person has become a casualty, that person is now leaving the battlefield. We're going to be evacuating them. So whatever I use should be off of the party who is going to no longer be participating in the events that we're a part of at base 0, okay? Another thing here is, should you carry more? Oh, hell yeah. If you want to carry more in your backpack, because if nothing else, look at it this way. If I'm carrying spares, my minimal standard, I can always control, but Doc might need 1 or 2 extras, and I can afford to throw 1 or 2 at Doc if I'm carrying spares. They're lightweight, they don't weigh that much, but they're priceless if there comes a point where I need them, okay? So again, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Another thing, okay, now we've gotten past the medical and why you really, really, really need to carry the medical. Now let's look at the guy who just got shot, and then tell me all about how you don't need body armor. I want someone to tell me, go ahead, explain to me how we don't need, or if there's somebody, I don't wear a body, I'm not going to wear it. Okay, well, I agree. Most of the time, you don't have to wear body armor. But if you're in Indian territory, you better. And if you're going into a battlefield situation and you're going to be participating on the ground, you better be wearing armor. There's no reason not to have something. Remember, if nothing else, in the confusion of what seems to be the lack of coordination on the part of all parties of whatever riotous situation we are watching, the Patriots don't seem to be any better at organizing than the rioters on the other side. Maybe the rioters are doing a better job. During that mayhem, getting monkey poked and back hit and back slapped and backstabbed is very likely. So here again, body armor kind of comes in handy because it really doesn't know how to rest. Body armor is going to be there for you no matter what happens, and it's going to operate and function no matter whether you're asleep or not. You could be laying there half dazed. Maybe you already got hit in the head with a baseball bat, and then some monkey poker comes up, thinks they're going to stick you with a shiv, and smack you right in the middle of the back where around the kidneys. Well, that Kevlar does come in kind of handy because it does. You don't have to deploy it like with a button or a switch, and you don't have to pull a trigger on anything. The Kevlar keeps working even if you're kind of down for the count and on the ground. So you all might want to think about the idea that any armor is good armor. Now that I've established that, how much is there left in the way of surplus armor out and about anywhere? Not much of any surplus left about. Now, there is some used police armor, and I don't worry about reading anything where, like, the guy selling it, he has to qualify, and he spends 5 pages telling you all about why used police armor is okay. Just ignore any stupid comments about, old body armor isn't any good. Ignore that BS. Here's how it works. Is it Kevlar? Yes. Will it offer some ballistic protection? Yes. Is it cheaper and so you can afford it? Yes. If you have to scramble more money and you lose in another area, then not all of your bases are covered. But level 2, level 3 armor is out there. It's cheap. It's reasonably priced. The only thing I would like to see more of is the high throat armor and gorget, as we talked about. We saw that with the Polish and with the French armor that was popping up. Most of that's gone now, and the stuff that is out there, what a lot of people did is bought it when it was cheap, and now they're gouging everybody. They'll get typical profiteering in time of war. That's expected. But remember that with the price that they're asking for the surplus, you can get brand new modern American for as good or a better price right now, perhaps, as opposed to the gougers who are out there raping and pillaging they may not be pro-American. They're just profiteering, because they're not even going to be in the fight. They just did it so they could, rip you off. Now, we all understand how that works. There's a lot of characters that just aren't going to show up when the time comes. They got the prettiest gear. They got the $5,000 rifle. And that will be their excuse. I could lose my blah, blah, blah. I might lose this. I might lose that. Yes, of course. And for that reason, they will justify that they have no reason to get involved in the fight and let you and me and the rest of us that are pro-patriot take the hit, while in their very smart and wise way, the cowards stand off on the sidelines. Expect that. Do not be frustrated by it. It's the norm, not the exception. And that's something that everybody's, usually has a tough time with. Don't have a tough time with it. Focus on what we do. We do have to deal with the threat. Remember, they might be just as quick to flip anyway. That pretty uniform and all that pretty gear, they just want to side with the gun grabbers, or they'll just want to side with a fill in the blank. You watch, pay attention, and figure out who's who in the zoo when the time comes, and everything will be just fine. But again, assume the worst, you won't be disappointed. Make sure that you have what you need covering your hind end. Now, those armored underpants, remember that I mentioned a couple months ago and even a month ago? They're gone. Was cool, though. They were a good price, but they're gone. So for those of you who bought them, thumbs up, congratulations. You've got those private parts covered, and most people don't. That's a pretty double plus good situation, too. And those were actually pretty modern, brand new, like new armor. And in fact, so new, it was in multicam. Ooh, multicam. Yeah, if you're going to be worrying about, being camo-centric, then that was like top of the line, color-wise, if nothing else. So, anyway. All right, just want to double check to make sure the time is right here. 5:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are listening to Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com, and we are on the Liberty Tree Radio channel on YouTube. In fact, it's the quickest way for any of you listening via phone. If you have a YouTube app where you can plug right in, it's direct feed, quick, and, plug into hit the button, go to YouTube, go to Liberty Tree Radio on the YouTube channel live feed, and congratulations, you're there. Boom, moment you hit the channel, that's the first thing that pops up. And it will be, of course, an archive later on, so you can pull it as you want to and listen to other programming from the past. Another thing here real quick, I don't know how much is left, but apparently both over at ClassicFirearms.com and AimSurplus.com, a certain amount of PPU ammunition came in, and this includes 375 Holland & Holland. If any of you have a 375 Holland & Holland, for killing buffalo and Cape buffalo and, also wildebeest and, elephants. Yeah, before there was 338 Lapua. Oh, I got to have 338 Lapua. It sounds so cool. 375 Holland & Holland, 338 Winchester, and the Rigby rounds in the 400-plus range were the big boys on the block and still are out there in force. A lot of people bought those 375 Holland & Hollands. The cheapest price for any 375 ammo, PPU. Couple of different companies brought it in or just got some off the shelf. Guys, if you're looking for, if you've got that 375 and it's kind of collecting a little dust only because you can't afford to shoot it, with the PPU ammunition, not only can you shoot, but you can reload. So take advantage of that. Go look at Classic Firearms, see if they have any left. Also, Center Fire Systems, see what they have that's popped up, and Aim Surplus. Everybody had some PPU ammo come in. And PPU is as good as anything else made in the United States. The big thing here is they also have at Aim Surplus 7mm Remington Magnum. I'm amazed that has not gone yet. That should be cleared off the shelf, scraped out, and it should be a hollow gourd. 7mm Remington Mag is a battlefield superiority round. If you're looking for a particular solution to deal with the problems, then 7mm Remington mag is an excellent placement rifle round. It's one of those that should be centered to support as a base of fire weapon for infantry units, control / designated marksman in the unit. Certainly can use 7mm or 300 Win Mag or whatever it is you choose, but 7mm is definitely a performer. And we're talking the cheapest price in the country, and that's over at aimsurplus.com if there's any left. Also, and I have been running into a lot of people who just gave up on finding .32 automatic. This is interesting. I ran into 4 people today. So let me point something out. Again, attention, attention, attention. If you go over to AIM Surplus, same people I was just talking about, AIM Surplus. You may not be able to get 9mm, but if you got .32 automatic pistols and decent ones on the shelf, well, you may switch to that gun for a capper for the time being, because at least you've got lots of mags, you've got ammunition, and the weapon works. If you're short 9, well, you're going dry real fast. You better have a backup, so the .32 would be a good option. Again, barks like a dog. You get hit with it. You don't know for sure what you got shot with. Trust me on that one. And, Colt actually knew what they were doing. It is an excellent little pocket round. The pistols that are out there, there's a little Model 70 that's being brought in by Zastava. That is, actually, there's 3 different slide lengths, which I thought was interesting. Slightly larger as far as the length of the frame, but still all the same magazine. They're all using, I believe, the same 8-shot mag. 32 ACP and about $200 a piece. Interesting, though. These guns came in with the back sights knocked off them. Now, I told you before, there's some weird garbage going on, like the barrelless Smith & Wesson Model 10s that came from Canada. Guys, the bat faggots, Donald Trump's ATF. Donald Trump's ATF is playing all kinds of games with the, as being anti-gun, and they are hardcore anti-gun. Right now, you'll notice there's these weird things that are popping up. You didn't even see the last time we were short stuff, during the Obama scam. Well, in this case, it's far worse, but what's fascinating is more of the UN gun control agenda is plugged in. Now, if you pay attention with those little Zastava, the Model 70, little 32 ACP pistols, I think it's JG Sales. They didn't put the sight on the rear, but there is a sight available that they were able to use to justify, because it's an adjustable sight. Under the UN gun control agreement, anything that's a fixed blade sight is, for whatever reason, with the standing on one leg and rubbing your tummy and blinking your eyes control, is evil and bad. And this is something that goes back to the Gun Control Act of 1968, by the way, which all of a sudden they're re-implementing through executive order and executive guidelines through the ATF, because otherwise it's not been an issue. So this is an arbitrary and capricious action on the part of the State Department and the bat faggots in conjunction with the UN nonsense. With some of the guns, I believe Classic Firearms may have if they don't, the other company might be Center Fire. I don't know if Classic has any of the pistols left, because they may have sold out already. They only had a handful by the countometer that was on the page. But whatever you look at, you'll look at the rear sight. It doesn't look right on the pistol. Lo and behold, it actually is a much higher sight to the rear than would normally be fitted if it was a regular post and pin, which the pistol was originally designed to carry. Now, the front blade hasn't been changed. It's the rear sight that has been heavily modified by tapping out the original V-notch and putting in an adjustable or semi-adjustable or micro-adjustable rear sight. So one company, JG Sales, is honest about it. The other companies, they just tapped on the site and shut up and said, buyer beware, it's your problem when you find out it doesn't work right. So heads up on that one. I think that's rather fascinating. And it probably did come from Century Arms International. I'll guarantee it. They seem to be the only ones to have the special wink in the nod. They're the old Jewish mob / Haifa, Tel Aviv, Jewish mafia crowd arms dealers. And they have special dispensation with Trump because they are Jewish. So, which is typically the case anyway, especially with Trump. So that's what we're stuck with. But you can find a few military 32 ACPs out there, 32 ACP pistols, and ammunition is available. So that's the consideration. Can I get ammo? Yes. If I can get ammo, might want to grab the pistol. It'd be good to have a little pocket pistol around anyway. And for the ladies, they love them. And you know what? They're going to go crazy if you can't teach them real quick. They're going to get the attitude that, hey, point and click, 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 empty. Well, one way or another, they probably hit somebody with those 8 rounds they just fired. So be kind of good for them. Teach them, make sure they drop the mag and reload. Now, on the Zastabas, somebody just asked me that, and also today, well, they're magazines. Yeah, and the price is not good, but there are some. Again, these appear to be prior service/police pistols. And for whatever reason, they're in good to very good condition. Some are in excellent. All of them are serviceable. All of them work. So for everybody out there, again, solutions, not just complaining about the problems. I don't have any ammo. I'm going to die. How about you buy another pistol? This is America. You don't have your restrictions on that. This is America. Guns are for buying, not for selling. What's wrong with you? Hello, McFly. Remember tapping him on the head? Anyway, a couple of things before we go, and we are getting close here now. Also, with regard to medical, ChinookMed.com, ChinookMed.com, www.chinookmed.com. For compress dressings, they have a wide range. I would point something out. The Israeli dressings are there, but there is a whole new American line that, by the way, conforms to U.S. Department of Defense specifications for materials. 100% American made. American components, American packaging, and American product. You can't beat that. And by the way, it's cheaper than the Israeli or the other kits that are out there, the other compresses. Now, there are several variations, but you can almost buy 2 or 3 for one. And as I pointed out, if you're going to be getting into being serious about going in the field, number one, your med kits should all be stuffed with extras, especially of the high consumption perishables. What we mean by perishable is consumption/use. And ammunition is a perishable. We pull the trigger, more disappears. You keep pulling the trigger, more disappears. With food, it's the same thing. You consume it, you eat it, perishable, gone. Now, that doesn't just mean when does it go stale or anything like that. We're talking about as in consumption. That's how the military looks at it. So logistics, you need to think the same way. And again, if you can get more for less, remember, it's going into a yucky, nasty, dirty, or self-cleansing bullet wound or trauma injury, shrapnel tear. Yeah, guys, it just needs to get to where it's going. It needs to be able to do its job, and if you can do it for half the price or 1/3 the price, that means you got 3 of them to work with and not 1. So when you're stuffing the bags with extras, remember, volume is the key. We need more. We need lots more. Okay, so take a look at ChinookMed.com. They have the best price for the large abdominal dressings. Just picked up another 10 of those. In fact, I don't know if I got to call to see if I can get a deal on a larger quantity. I haven't done that yet. I haven't had time. I've been busy going through supply and support today. We've been kind of out and about and trying to square away all of the other equipment that we've already got. Just found out, of all the electronic junk I picked up over the weekend, I got a FRS base station. I didn't even know it. It was like, wow, I can grab all the electronics. There's a big rat nest. And then we started untangling everything, sitting down for a minute. And, hey, this is an FRS weather and other radio. And lo and behold, plugged it in right there. It's running over around the corner from where I'm sitting. And it works just like it came out of the box. So we really can't complain about that at all. And again, pay attention. You never know what other people are getting rid of. And if they're crazy enough to get rid of it, we're smart enough to buy it, or we're smart enough to pick it up when it's free. Right? That's the most important issue. Excuse me. Now, last but not least, remember, if you'd like to support Liberty Tree Radio, and I need to do this more often for Ed, www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com, and then go to the donate key. There's one on the side of the page and one on the top of the page right there in the middle bar. When you get there, you can donate any amount. You can also be a regular subscriber and donate weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or bi-monthly, whatever schedule you want to come up with. I haven't looked to see what they've done most recently, but you can actually have a few dollars taken out. And if all you can do is donate $1 or $2, although probably, remember, they take a little bit too, PayPal does. But if you can donate a couple dollars, that's fine. $2, $1, $1.50. Some people donate $2, $3, $5 at a time. That's it. And you know what? Don't apologize ever. Whatever you're doing is helping. If everybody listening did that, oh, hell. Again, how much can you accomplish? Because everything we get, we put into the fight, 100%. And anybody who's been around us knows this. So Liberty Tree Radio, go to www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com, and then go to the donate key, and then you can donate any amount. Also, just a quick reminder for our friends out there in Montana and over in the Rockies, we've got a couple of quick commentary videos I'm going to send out for you and the troops. Hopefully we'll have that done maybe Wednesday. If not, we'll be doing it on this next weekend, but I got to get it done sooner because we don't have any time to waste. So I'm going to defecate, shower, and shave and look a little prettier for you. And we'll be addressing some issues, and I'll be sending out a couple of CDs, DVDs, so that you guys can use those. Also, some Patriot music while we're at it, too. We have some poetry that's got to go out, and for everybody, again, be patient. There's only so many of us and so many hours in the day. We are working hard to get the mechanized units into high gear with full depth in recovery, medical support, also spare parts. We're working on tires right now. In fact, that was what we were doing over the weekend here, is accumulating and then sorting and rating tires for our armored vehicles. Anything you guys can do to help, we'd appreciate. If you can donate, that's great. God bless our republic.
Death to the New World Order.
Death to the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire's on the run. We're on the march. We're going to take a break here. Y'all grab a cup of coffee or go use the bathroom. It is Monday on Liberty Tree Radio. Second hour coming up.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MaineMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MaineMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MaineMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at mainmilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
Join Mark and Don for Weapons Wednesday, where you'll learn how to use everything from your bare hands to your average AR-15.
The 12 gauge autoloader,
Sure.
the 45 long slide
Yep.
with laser sighting,
You betcha.
the Uzi 9mm,
Yes, sir.
phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range.
What are you, crazy?
Wrong.
Okay. They'll talk about that too. So whatever question you have about whatever weapon you have, call Mark and Don on Weapons Wednesday. And remember, your mind is your first best weapon.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you to always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. Permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt. Put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you will fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now, as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
And that was Visitor from the Past. Visitor from the Past. Repeat. Visitor from the Past by Phelan Polk. Let's make sure we get that right. I've seen people giving it a different name, and the author was from Michigan. He's a Vietnam vet from Holland, Michigan. Visitor from the Past by Phelan Polk. That's with a T-H. Phelan Polk. P-A-U-L-K. I'm not sure if there's an, I can't remember if there's an E on the end. I don't think there is. Polk. I'll get that right. Slap me in the microphone. It won't take me a minute to check that later on. I'm not right there in that part of the studio. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second hour of the afternoon intelligence report. I'm Mark Carnke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, west, the southeast, north, and south. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube, of course, on our YouTube channel, and that's live stream. Very easy for you guys with a phone to hook up. You go to YouTube, punch in Liberty Tree Radio, and the very first video that should pop up is the live stream video. So it makes it a lot easier for you to connect and link. And if you've got a real quick YouTube app with your phone, I think it's probably simpler than most systems you could use. Quality seems to be decent. So far, recording quality seems to be fine. And it's amazing how many different systems, how many miles we're running through in nanoseconds to get from all points, including Liberty Tree Radio on our regular feeds, all of the reflectors that you guys have done, and on top of that, things like Liberty Tree Radio channel on YouTube, live stream. Anyway, we're also on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and Ultranet Hallmark and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon and evening to all our friends out there around the clock. Somewhere it's midnight, somewhere it's midday. And I want to say hello to our friends in the lower 49, including the great state of Jefferson, along with CONUS, the outlying two states, the territories, and the clock. Right now it's 6:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, it is Monday. It is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K. 2020 Old Earth calendar. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. Bloody hell, he wants 240%. We'll blew up. Now I'll just tweak her back and he won't know it. And 2020 year of conflict, Dance of Swords, the battle for the Republic. And the battle is continuing. Everybody keeps asking, well, what's the next thing that happened? Well, of course, we had the incident with the young man in Wisconsin who was attacked, and then attacked again, and attacked, and finally he did shoot back, and he put three targets down, hopefully 4. I think there was somebody might have snagged another bullet, but they may have disappeared into the darkness. You know, that's what happens when they're all pooped. Anyway, the incident that happened over the weekend, one of the Christian pro-patriot members, he wasn't by himself. I've seen several different write-ups on this. There was another individual with him. They had a patriot/pro-Trump drive-through that was going on. And needless to say, the communists rode up and attacked. Well, actually, if you watch, they realized they had a couple of guys standing by themselves, but the one guy was a little more away from the second. You know, they were separated by a little bit, but not by much. But you can hear the conversation where there's one there, and of course they attack him, they fire. I did not hear multiple discharges. In fact, I'm getting the impression that it might have even been a muzzleloader by looking at the imagery. Now, if you haven't seen any of the footage, you don't know what you're talking about. Go watch the footage. There's a tremendous amount of additional smoke. Now, whether or not somebody may have thrown a pyrotechnic or something, I didn't see anything else go off, and you would have heard it. But it could also have been smoke, could have been something else. But the illumination and the flash, muzzle flash, etc., coincide with the smoke blast. column that we see. So it's possible he was hit with a black powder piece. Who knows? And we'll find out eventually, maybe. Then again, maybe not. We might not get any of the truth the way things have been in this country. Other than through the independent press, which will try to do the best it can. And that takes time because they're not financed. They've got to do it on their own dime and their own time. The liars in government and the liars in the control press that, well, they work, hand in glove and butt cheek and reproductive organ, inserted accordingly, very closely. So they'll lie as needed. Anyway, the big thing here again is body armor. I can't stress that enough, and you're going to hear me harp about this again for a few days. It doesn't cost much. Even the lowest end level 2 armor. Well, what good's that going to do? Probably would have stopped what he got shot with. If he'd been wearing casual wraparound armor, now notice I said wraparound, not just plates. Guys, traditionally, when they came up with second chance armor, well, I'm right here in Michigan. I used to know all the guys. I actually knew the owner, for quite some time. Used to associate with him in roundabout circles. Couldn't help it. We're in Michigan. This is where second chance lived. And when they first came up with the armor, they only had front armor, but they still had full wraparound, not just front plates. They came one around the side slightly, and in fact, had arm dollops for that reason. No, they didn't have back armor. You didn't know that? Oh, no, originally armor was expensive, so they figured, well, nobody's going to want to spend that much money, so they bought front armor under the logic that, well, chances are the guy's, having somebody shoot at him, he's going to turn, and since he's pointed at the guy, he'll shoot back. But then they thought, well, wait a minute, people get monkey poked. Oh, yeah, you're seeing a lot of that in all the videos from Antifa, aren't you? So full armor became the norm, but originally it was single front plate armor, period, just from front panel. Now, even then, it was only level 1 years ago. Eventually, very quickly, it went to level 2. Very quickly, it went to level 3. I mean, it didn't take very long, one behind the other. But level 2 was sold just as often as level 3, level 3 being that much more expensive. If the guy had any kind of armor on, it would have helped, period. So I cannot stress enough, not only do you want a plate, but, again, although it looks like, because of they took the shirt off the guy, if you notice there's some overhead shots, you can see the entrance wound. It's around the right breast. And again, that would have been center for anything that the guy was wearing. Would have been if it was plates, would have been if it was wraparound. I'd prefer wraparound and then put a plate on top of that. Put chicken plates in wherever you can. Why not? You got a pocket? Put some chicken plates in there. Put one in each pocket initially. That way you up with dragon scale armor in odd places all over. But guess what? Pickle finger of fate. You don't know where the bullet's going to hit you. Do you think that somehow there's this consistent rule that you're going to get hit in a polite location? It's like getting shot in the rumpus. I served with a guy who got 2 Purple Hearts in the field. Both times, he got shot in the butt. In fact, I'll never forget this. We were at one of the military balls, and the major's wife, you have where you present yourself when you're coming into the military, the military affairs, and they have the officers in charge and the executive officer there, and they greet you, and the wives are there, and everybody's dressed. And we were standing there, and Wakus is in line, and the major's wife goes, "Well, Mr. Wakus, you look actually pretty good for someone who was shot in the cheeks." And he looks at her, and he's kind of like, he knows that, wait a minute, well, what's she, and the major bends over towards his wife, she's shorter than he is, and says, "Dear, the other cheeks, he got shot in the other cheeks." And she goes, "Oh," puts her hand to her mouth, "Oh." So, both times, got shot in the butt. Got shot in the butt, taking a dump both times. She'd be the first one to tell you that. Of course, lost his teeth in the third engagement. But the first 2, in each case, they were on patrol. He got out every day, dug a cat hole, and, of course, they had an area where they would defecate. And he just happened to be there when Mr. Charlie Son decided it was time to visit. And while he's trying to pull his pants up, he said, "I felt a bite on my butt cheek." And he goes, "I didn't feel it right away." He goes, "But it burned for a moment." He goes, "It hurt a lot later, a lot more later." This is where I've told you, the pain, don't worry. If it doesn't hurt right away, it'll catch up with you. The pain will catch up with you, sir. It will, guaranteed. The blessing of it not catching up with you not being experienced while you're busy unarsing the AO and saving your life, Well, that's part of that fight, flight thing that is built in with nature. So, other things that we need to do here, body armor, obviously. Well, the other thing has been we're going to see an escalation in more car shootings and bombings. Now, bombings are coming in the next big wave. Bombings are already the first of the pyrotechnics. I don't know if you've seen this. Didn't get any coverage at all, but where they're using pipe bombs. A couple of the feds got hit. In fact, the statement by the kid who was with the guy who was shot and killed in Portland. He's younger than I am, so I call him a kid, but he's half my age, if not more than half my age now. I mean, come on, I'm 64. But he said that while he was there, of course, one of the other feds came in and got hit with a pyrotechnic, blew his clothes off, and he had like third-degree burns over most of his torso. So this guy's, pretty bad shape. Well, you're not seeing any of that in the news, and they're not going to report it, and you're not going to hear about it until after the fact, just like I did tell you right now. And I'm relating a story by another person who was witnessing what was going on while he was in the emergency, okay, because he was there for his friend who had passed away. Now, again, guys, this is going to do nothing but escalate. And one of the things I'm going to point out, if you're white, then you have the communist racially challenged, or you have the Jewish people who don't believe that they're white, who are going to try to kill you. And of course, they are prompting the blacks to try to kill you. They are pushing for a race war, and the Jews believe that they're with the blacks because, of course, they're also faking out, and they're going to be behind the scenes on both sides, which they already are with the fake Democrats and the fake Republicans. But again, just as a case in point, all three of the characters that were shot in Wisconsin were all Jewish, the ones that were attacking the 17-year-old. All Fruit Loops, all like pedos, child molesters, et cetera, et cetera. And guess what? All Jewish. What a surprise. I wouldn't know. We would know very yeah, we would. So, yeah, we have. Yeah, we've seen this all before. Now, this is going to mean that you're going to see more random spike attacks where they feel people aren't paying attention. Combine this with the idea that, they're going to come out into the rural areas. Now, I'm going to remind you that you put rounds on target as quick as you can, but you don't call the police because you want to find out if there's any more out there. So if you can catch them and you can talk to them in a very unique way, whatever pair of pliers you have or whatever razor blade and salt you have, you're going to want to know why it is they just happen to come out there and decide to pick on you. But you want to do that and make sure you get first-person information. The cops won't share everything with everybody. In fact, they'll lie if they're told to lie by their bosses, because their bosses are tied in with the ring knockers and the apron wearers and the yarmulke wearers. And so you will be lied to. So instead, if you catch them, you keep them. And then we find out who sent them. That should be the rule across the board. And I have no qualms about repeating that over and over again. You want to hunt them harder than they're hunting you. But you have to pay attention constantly. Now, here's another thing. 39 kids were rescued in a double-wide house down in Georgia, near Atlanta here, over the last few days. And they did such a good job of making sure nobody heard about it. 39 missing children rescued in one location. And those 39 children are from all points of the compass, implying part of a slave/child trade or child pedo ring. 39 kids this weekend. Nobody talking about it all. Nothing in the controlled media whatsoever. I would say 39 kids found in a double-wide house, a double-wide, manufactured home, all missing and found in the same location and rescued at the same time. Should be a national news story up and right on the top of everything. Communist News Network didn't touch it. ABC didn't touch it. NBC, other than local. Now, I will say, you got to correct that. The local news was forced to touch it, but they kept it minimal. Now, why would they do that? Oh, could it be that the editor, that little oi boy editor, is one of the pedos who was buying the kids from the local little child theft ring? And Well, maybe his name's on a list somewhere, so they don't want to draw attention to it while they're busy shuffling it under the rug. What do you think? I would say that that's probably the case. So for everybody out there, again, pay attention. There's a lot more going on. Now, it doesn't mean that again, you're all in the crosshair as far as that goes. For that matter, hey, there's a whole bunch of black people in the crosshair, not by us, but by the Black Lives Matter, Kill All the White People crew, because there is an agenda afoot to stir the pot. So you better beware and pay attention. Work in teams. Make sure that if you can, you must be armed. Know where the weapons are that are available, and remember, always have spare weapons available in case you have friends over. Sharing a pistol or a shotgun is not a good thing. So having ready racks or having ready stations where you can walk over a few paces and pull a pump shotgun out and a couple of, shells and maybe another couple of pistols and say here, here, and here, and then you can return fire when the time comes, or you can overwhelm an aggressor who thought he was going to be very impressive and surprise you, when in reality, you were just looking for an excuse to suck one of those bastards in so that you can spend 3 or 4 hours with a carton of cigarettes, a bag of salt, and a razor blade pack. Yeah. Hi, how are you doing? Who sent you? Is there someone outside waiting for you? If you came in, there's probably a driver. Where is he? And remember, oh no, we won't hurt. You know what? If you just tell us where he is, you won't be hurt. No, I'm lying. But I promise, if you just show, is there somebody, where's the car that's waiting to pick you up and drive you out of here after you tried to murder us? And how many are there? Right. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, somebody's saying, and don't forget to get their ID, because you don't want to have their, in fact, how far can you go with their phone? What's on their phone? What's in their memory? Don't forget they might have a tablet or something too, because maybe they have a list of people to attack. If you get the vehicle, that's probably got the admin person on board, and that person is the guy you really want to have a long, salty conversation with. Yeah. Is it safe? Is it safe? Yeah. So again, 29 kids found in one location, and nobody's covering it in the national news.
Hey, Mark.
But boy, they can tell you about how terrible Trump is. Go ahead, caller. Jump in there, please.
Around the same time, they just got a whole bunch here in Ohio, mostly in Northeast Ohio, and because anybody that follows this stuff knows Northeast Ohio is one of the big hotbeds of satanic cults and child sex trafficking. So,
yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it was as many as 39, but it was quite a few.
Well, the interesting thing is you've got this spread right, it actually goes right down the turnpike. That corridor right there is something in and of itself. And needless to say, Cleveland, although Cleveland is no better than Detroit, the clique that's in there, the kosher mafia that's in there, are tied right into all the rest of the dirty deeds across the board, across the U.S. Over the years, when they were tracking the pedo rings, there's 2 locations south of Cleveland, off of the corridor there. And when they did the big bust out west in Oklahoma and Nevada, they were coordinated, and actually, you're right, in the northeastern part of Ohio and the western part of Pennsylvania, there were 3 key locations that they raided, and that's back in 1993, 1994. And I don't think anything has changed. I think that they've gotten away with murder for the longest period of time, because these kids just disappear. Well, when they're no longer known, and the ring knockers and the cops do everything they can to cover their trail, and the controlled media makes sure that nobody talks about it, and it gets minimal follow-up coverage, then they can continue to perpetrate the scam, and that's what they've been doing. So this is why everybody needs to be very, 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 very cognizant of their environment. And by the way, they don't just sacrifice children. I can't emphasize that enough. That's why you fight tooth and nail. If somebody is grabbing you, scream like you remember, fight like you're the third monkey trying to get on Noah's Ark. That's the best way to explain it. You make noise, you rip their eyes out. Again, they attack like a monkey, go right for the nose with your teeth. I know that sounds weird, but it's one of those things that nobody ever expects, and I've seen it used in prison fights exceptionally well. And guess what? You rip their nose right off their face. They're thinking about everything else rather than, well, what they probably were originally thinking about, even if they have a knife. And in this case, it's life or death, literally. We're also going to experience more and more of this with regard to Antifa, which is tied into the same occult clique. They're manipulated and run by the ADL. They're being run by the Mossad. They're being run by the kosher mafia across the board. The Kill All the White People crew is doing the same thing. They're all run by the same Jewish mob behind the scenes, and the names speak for themselves, and the whole background of the group can easily be mapped. So pay attention, because this is that fight you've been waiting for. That diversion you're trying to ignore is the attack you have been expecting. That diversion you are trying to ignore is the attack you have been expecting. Does everybody understand that? And we are going to see this escalate. The next thing is going to be, at one point, you're going to see an exchange, a regular firefight, small. I would point out that, as I've tried to emphasize, and if you watch all the videos you've seen, what's the actual engagement time for contact in most of these situations? Minute, seconds, if not maybe but a few minutes. In the fight, firefight takes place with the kid that gets knocked down. He gets knocked down again. They're trying to grab the weapon from him. They try to cave his head in with a skateboard. He knows they're trying to kill him. You can see it in their eyes. You can hear it in their voice. So he finally triple taps the one, pops the other in the arm, although I would have tapped him all the way around. Again, 3 more rounds. He had the right idea, but the guy had a gun. That would have been the classic. To nail that guy and kill him right there with the gun stuck in his hand, it'd be fascinating to see them play it, because they did play it anyway. Guys got a gun, and they're still playing, he had a cell phone, and, they were all unarmed. First, they were all black, and not one of them was black. Guys, think about the lies. You need to laugh at anybody. I heard that he was killing black people. Really? Well, here's this pasty-faced fool. Here's another pasty-faced fool. And the third one is a pasty-faced fool. So which one of these is black? Yeah, shut up. Okay, so but what's fascinating is they're Jewish. But wait a minute, they're the ones who chose to be there. He didn't go finding the Jewish attackers. The attackers were all Jewish. And they seem to be Jewish a lot. What a surprise. And they will tell you that they are not white. They will tell you, I'm not white, I'm Jewish. So you see, all you white people out there, while they're riling up the black people, it's the Jews who want to kill the white people. That's really what's going on. That's the easy part to understand, okay? Why? Well, just listen to them. They're having a great time bragging about it. Shouldn't be hard to figure out. All you have to do is listen to their conversations and the vocabulary. It's very straightforward. And Uncle Mark's not the one doing it. They are. There we go. Anyway, a couple of things here real quick before I go too far. We are at the bottom of the hour. For everybody out there, again, guys, libertytreeradio.4mg.com, www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com. You're also listening to us on Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube live stream. And we are on multiple reflectors around the country. If you get a chance, plug in. Check out the YouTube stream. Let us know how it works for you. If you're driving, I know a lot of you use our regular feeds and our cell phone connects through the conference line. But for the time being, the YouTube live feed might be more convenient for you. It'll be easier for you to set up and less time consuming when it comes to traveling down the road if you're trying to head home, because, the 5 to 6 to 7 o'clock hour here, everybody's headed home from work in many cases. So I understand that. It's drive time for you. Be careful. Pay attention. I don't want you to fiddle fart with the phone any more than you absolutely have to. Pay attention to the road. That's where the danger is. We'll still be here in the archives if nothing else. If you look like you're having some real problems, ignore the phone, pay attention to the road, because I don't want to hear about any of our friends and allies passing away because of some little boobification that takes place. People do goofy things when they want to get home, and you got Antifa on the road. Of course, I wouldn't even brake for them, you know that. It'd be like, slow down for what? There you go. If you move fast through the kill zone, it's less likely that the guy with the pistol who thought he was going to shoot you while you're in your car is even going to get a beat on you. He'll probably shoot more of his own, like the one out west did. So just a little heads up. That's kind of cool, isn't it? Yeah, they were shooting at the car. He probably did hit that Jeep, but in the process, yeah, he plugged a couple of his own people, and that's really cool because that way the orcs are fighting amongst the orcs. Isn't that preferred? I'm sure it is. So, again, heads up there. Also, a couple things real quick. We were talking last week about handhelds and all the other different radios that are out there in CB. And I found another trash 217, a TRC 217 by Realistic. This is actually one of the Radio Shack radios. And it's in pristine. I mean, it's perfect, in excellent condition. I ended up with a wall power supply, also a 12-volt plug into the dash supply, which means you can roll down the road with these things, or you can use it as a tactical communication system if you want. It's more in line with the older military radio, handheld radios from decades and decades ago in that respect, but it's a decent little radio and has a few little bells and whistles, like illuminating light for the channel, but it's not lit up all the time, which is good. It has a little back strap so you can hang on to it and don't lose it, a little easier to control when the time comes. But these are out there in force. By the way, the antenna's in excellent, perfect condition. Don't have to worry about replacing it or anything. That's something every once in a while you do have to think about. You may have a problem with. Pickup and speaker work perfectly. The microphone is fantastic. And the squelch and the controls, everything is virtually immaculate. So these can be found, as in this case, an estate sale. I got it for basically for free. And it was like any 10 items on the table for $1. Yeah. Any 10 items on the table for $1? Are you sure? Yep. Yeah, really. We got to get this stuff out of here. All right. So lo and behold, basically, what did I pay for this? 10 cents? Whoa. That's like almost free. Now, I did make sure I got a whole pile of tactical gear, too, from the same site. Backpacks, Swedish coats, Israeli grenade pouches, 8 suspenders, Y suspenders. I didn't expect to run into this stuff, but that's how it works. So I ended up with 2 boxes full of gear, enough to probably do most of a fire team. Not completely, but it'll round out the extra odds and ends stuff. That includes canteens, canteen cups. It was a little bit of everything. Everything was less than $1 an item, or $1 an item. In fact, canteen's the most expensive. A canteen with cup for $2, but it was a Euro canteen, one of the larger, like liter and a half. Really cool. So couldn't pass it up. Got everything that the guy had. Going to probably link up and connect with the rest and pick up what he's got left. And then also got all of his machine shop tools. So, yep, we've expanded another one of our shops. In fact, I spent part of the day here sorting 3 weekends worth of tools, because I have tools upon tools and taps and dies and drills and you name it. Guys, if you pay attention right now, you can harvest a tremendous amount of material that otherwise might go to waste, might even end up in landfill. Shame on that. One of the things I got also a book on Patrick Henry's writings. That was free. It was in the freebie box. Grabbed everything in the freebie box. Lo and behold, I didn't look at the books. And I looked at them here. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Guess what the other book was I got? The Congressional Proceedings and Question and Answer with Richard Milhouse Nixon during the 1974 window of activity. That's the Watergate era. And what's fascinating is when you read this garbage, it sounds just like what's happening now. I mean, not kind of, sort of. It's like it is exactly the same map out. Now, remember, Trump will give them the anti-gun stuff. Trump will give them whatever it is that the ring knockers, the Jewish mob, wants from one side, while the other fakes are playing the other. So just like what Nixon did, even as Nixon was being pushed out. Remember, Nixon implemented the ATF. It is Nixon's administration that had to implement the ATF. Do you all understand that? The Gun Control Act of 1968. What was the election of 1968? Oh, that's right. And Lyndon Baines Johnson did not become president, did he? Instead, Richard Milhous Nixon became president. And all of the ATF's most abusive period of time, that window right there. In fact, from there on through the 70s, they were just more vicious and more outrageous day after day after day, to the point where by the time they connect in the final phase, it is an absolute, it's horrific. By 1977 under Carter, the bat faggots that have been pretty well expanded upon and now created in the image you see today, they hit the first wave of being just absolute venomous, vomitous monsters. So pay attention, smell the coffee here. This game is being played exactly as it was. It's mapped out identically. The communists doing what they're doing in the streets, again, that's the Jewish mob left, while the Jewish mob right is doing what they're doing from inside the regime so that they can accomplish what they want, steal all that they can, and in the process, of course, have you shucking, jiving, and dancing to try to dodge bullets from both the government and from the communists on the street. Both teams work for the same tribe, period. So, again, what does that leave us? Well, it means Americans are going to have to fight for Americans. Oh, well, get over it and get on with business. Anyway, these little trash radios are out there. I think this is the fourth one I've picked up this last 3 weeks. I got two in one location, and each time I've gotten one, strangely enough, it's a matrix thing. Also, little Cobra boxes, which I have sitting next to me right now, too. In fact, I'm hooking that up on the rig that's right here. I got several of those brand new, and also an older Pioneer radio, which, by the way, it might as well be like have a linear amplifier on board. Pioneers, the older Pioneer and Viking radios were monsters out of the box. It's only 23 channel, but I don't care. It has tremendous output off the antenna, and already set up to go on the hump in the truck, so it'll plug right in, it'll lock right where it's supposed to, and I'm happy. So that's going in either tonight or tomorrow, depending on how much time I have with all the other stuff I'm having to sort out. Another thing here about tools, somebody just asked before about, well, what tools should pick up? Everything. I don't care what it is, plumbing, carpentry, electrical, machine shop, tool and die, whatever it is you can get your hands on, because all of it will be used. Remember, wood is a non-strategic or considered a non-strategic material. So wherever you can use wood, you are saving resources. You know, they used to make stupid or snide comments about and it was stupid, it really was. But it was, you got to have propaganda. You want propaganda against your enemy. But the Russians used to put plywood seats in their APCs. Well, they use plywood in their APCs. And it's like, well, why not? Plywood is actually a phenomenal piece of material. And laminate wood is nothing to sneeze or laugh at. Oh, well, we got plastic. Doesn't plastic burn? Well, yeah. Does wood burn? Yeah. Okay, so what's the big difference here? Well, they're using plywood. Well, they're using a non-strategic material that's readily available. They could also use just planking, which would work just as well. Might be about the same weight, but they go thicker to be safe, but would work just as well. And it's non-strategic material. That means that right off the bat, it's less of a burden to their supply system. In terms of special technologies, plastics or plastics or metals. Metals cost money, a lot more money. So anyway, plywood was one of those things, woodworking, where a lot of the stuff that we are looking at, especially for wartime production, remember, wherever you can use pre-manufactured or manufactured and sculpted wood, you're going to be cutting the cost down. This is why wood stocks actually were quite desirable, but more sophisticated than you need to be. They made them cruder during the war, to be quite honest. In fact, the finish is rather interesting on some things that originally were linseed oiled. Hell, linseed oil was considered to be, again, one of those things where how can we make it cheaper? Well, just paint it and be done with it and paint it once. Well, yeah, but it's like an example. When they first built the 2.35-inch rocket launcher, the first of the rocket launchers, a bazooka as they call it, when they first built them, and they built then the 3.5 inch. When they built the 2.7, the 2.35, then the 2.7. When they built the different rocket launchers, some didn't stay in production long. When you look at the middle war production, originally they had linseed oil and they'd finish everything, and they actually had to have a high level of finish, even by wartime military standards. Well, at a certain point, everybody said, "Wait a minute, we just need to crank them out. We need as many as we can, and we're not worried about pretty. In fact, we need to even tactify them more." Then all of a sudden, those nice little walnut stocks that were put on those rocket launchers, well, eventually they went with birch, by the way, because it was cheaper, and because it put less of a burden on the walnut needed for the Springfield and the Grand and the carbine stocks. Well, they used birch for the shoulder stock for the rocket launcher and also for the grips, and painted them. Not even worry about linseed oil. Paint them. Just paint them the same color as the body. Everything gets the same paint job all at once. All the same color. Very flat, very dull, very crude, very done. All finished. Now on to the next one. So paint. If all else fails, just cover with paint. That way, water can't suck in. Oxidation is not likely. At least if it looks like it started to chip, put some more paint on it. That's what paint's for. And it was cost effective. It was simple. It was, again, a quick solution, and it worked. In fact, it was pretty enough. I won't say, well, it's not even as pretty. Well, it depends on what your idea of pretty is. In this case, pretty well out of sight, out of mind. So, again, they also did this later on with the 3.5-inch launchers. The recoilless guns, they did the same thing, although recoilless don't have any wooden stocks or anything on them, but they did paint them to obviously reduce the signature. Problem, the barrel gets a little hot, especially with the recoilless guns, kind of like a tank gun. But they still applied color disruption for obvious reasons. That big long tube kind of sticks out all by itself, especially if it's gunmetal gray, parkerized, / whatever finish they chose for the weapon. So prior proper planning before you get in the field, prevents piss poor performance. That's why paint covers all sins and puts you out of sight to a degree. Now, another thing here real quick, and again, this has to do with ammunition. I know that's been the biggest question. Everybody goes, I can't find ammo anywhere. Okay, I just threw a doggy bone to several people today. Told them where to go because, again, hey, you need ammo. Then I asked, how many mags do you have? Well, one of the persons said, I got 5 mags. I said, well, that's good. That's enough to get you into trouble, but not get you out. And they're like, oh, it went into a blank for a moment there. It's like, that's okay. You need 23 magazines per weapon that you have. And there's a reason for that. And that's even not enough, but it's enough to get you started, okay? You may not carry them all, but you are going to need them all. And somebody else is going to need them if not you. Remember, we are going to share and support. And if you really are invested in the cause, you know that we're fighting a war that's not going to last a few years. It's going to go on for quite some time. Every one of you that purchases magazines is helping our cause. You're promoting our effort. And I highly recommend that you take the time and do just exactly that. Invest in the future. Now, if they are still there, I checked this morning. They may be gone by this afternoon, but I don't think so. So anyway, if you're looking for AR-15 mags for the best price in the country, 10 magazines, 10 AR-15 type 5.56 Setney mags. These are NATO standard mags, steel. They are very good quality. We have gotten many of them already, but they are 10 for $6 a piece, $60 for 10. And that is over at apexgunparts.com, www.apexgunparts.com, www.apexgunparts.com. Go to the deals and clearance. When you go halfway down, you'll find the Setney 5.56. These are the 5.56 30-round steel AR-15 magazines. They are in stock. They are the best price in the country, $6 a piece. Shipping is flat rate, and so it's pretty cool in that respect. But it is the best buy in the country. Next is Gun Parts Corp., and only because they have brand new in the wrapper Bushmasters. But I will point out that the Setney mags are military mags, and the Spanish do not make junk, neither for themselves nor for the contractors that they're with, because they want to keep selling magazines. So they've gotten really good at making mags. And that's especially critical if you are trying to maintain a system. So, guys, heads up again. Remember, prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. You want more than 5 magazines in your combat load. Now, if you are looking at chest pouch, count the number of pockets you got. If it's a pre-can model, if you got Molly, look at how many pockets you can put on a Molly rig. Remember, all of them you carry more than 5. And you got to have one of the weapons, so that means you got 4 to carry somewhere. So fill up the rest of those pockets with magazines. Figure out where you want to buy them, but buy more mags. It's that simple. Do we have a caller? Let's double check before we go any farther.
Shelby from Oklahoma City.
Go ahead, Shelby. Jump in there, please.
Hey, I was going to do a report. I finally got my canteen covers in from Algahemi wholesale. And they're pretty much, I got 10 of them, and they're pretty much lightly used to almost brand new. I mean, very, very lightly used. I mean, probably used a couple of times, if that, or, used every so often. And I also picked up 4 of the compass pouches, and those look pretty much brand new. They're not touched. The 4, I just bought 4 that I got, and they're pretty much brand new. Never been, pretty much, there's no scuff marks on the button. The black is still on the button. The Alice clips are brand new, no scuffs. I mean, like I said, the unissued on the compass pouches, and I think they were $2 and some change for 2, so basically $1 a piece. You get 2 per $2. But the canteen covers, like I said, came out really nice. And they are the canteen. They're the nylon canteen covers with the fleece inside also.
Right. Excellent. Well, again, if you're lucky, I'm going to try this then. I'll see about buying a bundle. I'll give them a call, see how many there are in a bundle. They're probably still in the string ties, and they're breaking them out from the the cases that they were in, because there was a bunch of that stuff that came in through Gov Liquidation here, Iron Planet, about a month ago. And they probably were one of the companies that bid out and got a bunch of the stuff, which that's what they do for a living. So on the canteen covers, I'd be happy even if they're used. I mean, but, like heavily used doesn't bother me, because you're really hard to wear out a canteen cover. So the big thing here again is if they're excellent condition or very good condition, those are a steal. Guys, if you need a lot, you can get an even better price. But that's a good chunk of both for a reasonable price, and it'll round out your gear. Now we use that pouch. If you can't get the old 1910 one for your compresses, that compass pouch is also the compress pouch. So you can put one of those on the back of your rig, put one on the front, like I said, and you've got one on both sides to cover the in and out of a bullet hole. And you can pack that with a couple of, or at least one, small dressing, and then you can throw other items in there, so you've got additional pack when the time comes. But the price is right. Those are excellent. And again, you can actually build if you can't find the US, Y, or H suspenders, the Austrian or the Belgian copies are out there right now, and they're cheaper. And they're the exact same cut. They may have a slightly different color to the suspender, but it won't make a darn bit of difference. They're exactly the same as far as how they hook up and how they adjust. And you can put a TA-56 or a TA-90 rig together right now for a very good price. And those pouches make a big difference. And that's AlleghenySurplus.com, or Allegheny Wholesale, forgive me, AlleghenyWholesale.com, AlleghenyWholesale.com for everybody out there. Anything else? Jump in there, please.
It's posted, that website's also posted in the Discord under the gear and equipment channel. Also, the Chinook Medical is also posted.
Thank you.
On the Discord. You were talking about the start of the bombings and stuff like that. I posted an article a week ago or two that MSN or MSNBC posted that the FBI said they received warnings of car bombs threats to be used against federal buildings. and stuff. And that was posted a week or two ago that I saw that article that the feds actually put out a statement saying that they received credible threats that Antifa was going to use car bombs against federal buildings.
Well, again, that's in line with the sequencing for the 1960s and 70s. And with all the other stuff that we've seen, they're playing the same. You know, the big strategic picture, the foundations are playing us. They think that we're so stupid we're not going to see history, which is true. For a lot of people, they don't. But if you just step back and do a little bit of reading, this thing is mapping out identically. It's the same scam. They're plugging in a cassette. It's not even a CD, guys. It's a cassette. Hell, I'd even say it's an old record. But they're playing the same game with the exact same timetable, the exact same players, and the exact same turds as far as the traders and the external / kosher mafia types performing all the terrorist acts, which is exactly what we're seeing. So the bombing is going to continue to expand out of the areas of control because that's just simply what happened the last time. The only reason it'll get slowed down is if they bomb somebody like one of if the zealots start getting a little out of hand and they attack one of the Jewish enclaves that they weren't supposed to. Because that's kind of what happened with the Weather Underground. When the Weather Underground, did what it was supposed to do, and when they thought they were going to pay them to do even more special damage, they didn't have any real problem with the Weather Underground. But when the Weather Underground tapped a few places that, they were actually going to avoid being damaged, and that really pissed off the powers that be, and the rest is history, as they say. So just a little heads up there, guys. This is the exact same scenario mapped out again, and it's like cardboard, cardboard cutouts. It's that precise. The other thing here is that you are all random targets. That's the other part. People are going, well, I haven't done anything. The fact that you may not be paying attention means you're the sublime target of opportunity for the Fruit Loop frothing at the mouth nutcase Antifa or Kill All the White People crew that's out there. So you have to constantly be moving with your eyes and paying attention to your environment. And remember that when characters seem to act like they're ignoring you as they walk by, they're not. Nobody does that. Those characters are trying to make you feel comfortable so that when they turn around and monkey poke your hind end, you're supposed to be caught totally off guard. Pay attention to the critters around you. Pay attention to body language and action, because these characters are going to be vicious, ruthless. That's what they're bragging up right now. And they plan on murdering more people even as we speak, if they haven't already. Well, I was speaking today. There's the other part about that. Go ahead. Anything else, please?
Change the subject again. I went to the Dollar Tree last week, and they did not have any more of the peaches. Of course, the previous time I went was like a month ago, and they still didn't have the peaches from Australia. They did have some canned pie filling apples, apple slices from, I think, Pennsylvania, from the United States. They were completely out of the canned luncheon loaf. And I think they had some of the canned chicken that's from the United States. And I'm trying to think. And all they had for the Chinese freeze-dried fruit was just the mixed fruit and strawberries. The previous times that I'd went, they had peaches and apple and stuff like that, but this time they only had the mixed fruit, just a few of the mixed fruit and the strawberry.
In our area, all of the canned meat, just like you're talking about, the Spam type meat was out, and also the peaches are out. Like you said, the Australian ones. I think we've probably run the season for them on those. So if you spot them anywhere else, guys, grab them while you can. If they're in the big peach cans, the larger fruit cans, because those are really great. The pie filling is still the cheapest goodie treat to put in as a dessert item. You can eat that out of the can just as is. Can you do that? Well, yeah, why not? Look at it as like any other dessert item that you would throw in, except that it's a big can. A lot of food. But otherwise, yeah, lots of calories. Oh, yeah, I know there's sugar there. Trust me, we know there's sugar there. But as far as for just putting calories in the field, if you were looking at that as a dessert item, then you got one of the like chili or beef stew cans. Grab one of those cheese packs from over in the other aisle from Dollar Tree. Grab some of the crackers, and then grab one of the fruits, and you've got yourself a basic sea ration. Only it's a big sea ration. It's more like a winter ration. It's got more calories. You're like, if you were looking at each person just having one can, that's a lot of food. So again, that's pretty good. For under $5, you can put a nice package together and also change it up quite a bit because there's a number of options. I got some of the chicken and dumpling. Sunday, we got picked some of the chili up. We got some of the beef corn, the beef hash. They're not calling it corned beef hash. They're just calling it beef hash. And then a couple of the other stew type things that were there. So again, we keep adding to that and keep adding to the inventory. Get at least a couple every time you visit, but preferably try to do more. That's your best bet. Another thing is toilet paper. You know what? They do have 4 rolls of toilet paper for $1. No, they're not fancy, but it's $0.25 a roll. And for just sticking toilet paper in places where you don't want to put a big bundle, 4 rolls of toilet paper stuck here, 4 rolls of toilet paper over there, 4 total rolls of toilet paper in each vehicle. The nice thing, they're already packaged up. You can spread them out where you need to. And the rest is history, as they say. So it's a solution. Again, simple solutions to deal with a lot of the problems that we have that a lot of people are worried about, especially putting food on the shelf but not being able to afford to. Well, you can afford to, but you got to cherry pick. Pardon the pun, because some of the fruit filling is cherry. Ooh, that's yummy. So otherwise, we're at the top. Oh, my goodness, this didn't take long. This hour went boom. For everybody out there, guys, you got the crosshairs on your hind end. Pay attention to your environment. The enemy is going to eventually end up in a firefight on an American street, just like we've warned you about. We've seen the escalation already, step by step. The cops will, of course, attack the patriots and do little of anything to the actual perpetrators on the communist side. That's because those are fellow employees, and they'll be told to back off like they've been doing all along. God bless our republic.
Death to the New World Order.
We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire is on the run.
And we are on the march both day and night.
Hoorah. Thank you, Shelby. And again, for everybody out there, guys, be careful, pay attention. I'm going to get out of the way. More live radio coming up right now on Liberty Tree Radio, and then we'll be back at 8 o'clock for the evening intel report. God bless. Bye-bye.